The World Health Organization, with the support of the European Union, Joe Biden, and President Xi of China, are going to get countries to sign a treaty to centralize all global health decisions. And we're going to talk about why this is dangerous for the future of humanity. Yep, as I predicted a while ago, that the control freaks are never going to give up over the power grab situation and every single thing that they want to do to make sure that they are the ones, because they are the elite. They are the ones who are smarter than us, and the rest of us plebs, we can't decide for ourselves. Not just us ordinary people around the world, our own governments and politicians, democratically elected governments, even they can't be trusted. So we're going to have to basically allow these international institutions, whether, they're mostly, of course, all not really elected and all very centralized, like WHO, like the EU, like the rest of the UN, they should be in charge. Because, the route towards the Star Trek fantasy world with one president of the world, that's going in such a massive pace that it can't really be stopped unless we rise up. Now, they've decided to introduce this global treaty, to get almost 200 countries to sign up to it, because global health response should be completely centralized. They have not learned anything from 2020 and, well, between 2020 and even right now. Now, this was initially promoted by the overweight king of global health, Bill Gates, the nerd who, again, I'm guessing is overcompensating for his childhood, and as he grew up, he didn't get enough attention. He's now coming out to lash out against humanity and all the bullies at school. Now he's got money, now he's got power, he's got influence around the world with all the governments. So this emoji, Bill, in case you don't know, Elon Musk posted this emoji on Twitter quite recently about Bill Gates being the overweight champion of global health. Now, the problem here is that this idea was suggested a while ago, and even last year on their own website, WHO said that the World Health Assembly are launching this process to develop historic global accord on preventing future global health crises. That's the same book that Bill Gates wrote. He's, at this point, one of the most successful lobbyists in the world. And it's not a good thing. People like him have more influence than actual voters and electorate in the world. Taxpayers who are actually supposed to be the bosses of decision makers around the world. No, this is a big, big issue. It wasn't just Bill Gates suggested this. It wasn't just WHO last year actually launching this whole process. It was also the European Union who gave the green light, because they are also a bunch of control freaks. This treaty will essentially destroy, in this aspect, democracies even further, sovereignty and democracy, more than what the European Union have been doing for the past few decades. The EU initially centralized their trade policies, and then they centralized some random social policies around Europe, in the size of bananas, shape of bananas, and all that nonsense. But global health policies being centralized is linked to everything else. You've seen what's been happening since 2020. In the name of global health and safety, then that would mean that they could interfere in economic policies, in social policies, how you should behave around your country every single day, what you should eat, how you should breathe. And that is absolutely disgusting and very, very scary, because the other group of people who are giving consent is not just the EU, not just Joe Biden, it's also these idiots in Beijing, another group of control freaks, and Tedros, the chief of WHO, who's now saying that you should trust our organization because we've got the consent of all these different type of countries and governments. How do we trust you? You're the same people who were in the pocket of China and President Xi. You lied to the world about 2020. You did not apologize. You doubled down. And now you think that we should just completely trust you. If hypothetically, any of these centralized machines had a successful project, for example, 2020 prevention, if they had actually done it, then we could say, well, we could disagree on principle that this is a bad idea, but at least you guys prevented something. At least you guys solved a global health crisis, right? They haven't even done that. The only times since 2020 that things worked was when countries individually, based on their own sovereignty, did things for themselves. Whether it was Sweden, the way they handle restrictions, and they're not going too far with mandated lockdowns, full national lockdowns, whether it was towards the end of the whole situation in this country, with the way the government handled it, which got slightly better by removing all the restrictions, and also even when it comes to the jabs and all that. Let's not get into that debate because that's a whole different problem anyway. But it was when you allowed countries like the UK to do it themselves, deal with their own problems, it was a lot easier. The European Union centralized everything in Brussels with the jabs, and they had a massive crisis with AstraZeneca and Pfizer and Moderna and everything else. And you think that you can have one organization decide for almost 200 countries around the world, and then, yeah, we should just trust you. This is bad, not just for democracy, but the future of humanity. There is currently a petition going around on the parliamentary website. Just go and search for it. It's do not sign any WHO pandemic treaty unless it is approved via public referendum. And it's a very difficult one because I'm not really in favor of referendums unless it's a very, very big constitutional national matter. So I don't really like just have referendums for every policy. But the whole point of these actual direct democracy solutions, I would be in favor only when, like now, people have no power. We have no say unless you have some sort of vote. Unless even that's not going to be the perfect solution, because I don't even know what's going to happen with the public. They might actually win the vote, but at least it's the move. It's the one solution we have. Otherwise, what are we going to do? You're going to really trust Downing Street and White House and all these other guys to decide for us? It's disgusting and it has to be stopped immediately. Now, we are going to be following this for you guys on this channel on a regular basis because this so-called treaty will be apparently signed towards the end of this month. Over the next week or so, we're going to have all these meetings and gatherings, and they're going to go to Geneva and they're going to sit down. It's a big issue, by the way. Russell Brand mentioned this on his YouTube channel about the whole concept of small group of so-called powerful and influential people in the name of presidents, prime ministers, corporations, your CEOs like Bill Gates, and technocrats getting into a room deciding for us. I don't understand why they believe that could be a thing when it hasn't worked in the history of this planet. It hasn't worked. Even when any other historically, Genghis Khan tried to do that by conquering the world. Just stop promoting this ultra globalist agenda. It is a bad idea because you will create an ultra nationalist agenda, and that can't be stopped either. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to come back with more updates for you guys. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.